Welcome to the 2024 Economic Preparation and Development Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, February the 11th, 2024. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Preach to me for the latest interpretation of financial news. We're not financial advisors, but we interpret financial news as it becomes available, 100% real and accurate. Today, on this Sunday, we're going to briefly talk about how a strong economy may not work for either presidential candidate in 2024, according to one U.S. News and World Report article. We're also going to be talking about these banks that some may be in trouble, some may be failing. Some of these local regional banks and credit unions may be having a hard time keeping pace as the rate cuts that were anticipated to happen in March by the Federal Reserve may not be happening until June or later, maybe this year, if at all this year. Because of the way that the persistent inflation is still, inflation has come down. That is the good news, ladies and gentlemen. But the bad news is that inflation is still with us, as you can see it in the grocery store, at the gas station, at public insurance going up, both homeowners and car insurance and utilities. So it's just going up at a slower pace, but it's still growing. And so because of that, the Federal Reserve Bank and others are worried about this economy, its footing, and what we're going to be doing about it in the future here as we continue on. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. We have a strong economy, how it may not work for either President Biden or Trump in 2024. Look, if we have high inflation, higher interest rates, and higher taxes, that's a deadly combination, along with slower job growth. As you know, it is very difficult to find a job, a good paying job. And even if you do find a good paying job, it's very difficult to keep it long term, no matter what the sector or industry, because of the whole system, the whole worldwide economy is in a state of flux, in a state of transition, as you know. And so in a normal year, you can just, the incoming president, the incumbent president would be rejoicing about how many jobs they created and how the economy is so strong and blah, blah, blah. But this is not a normal year. Ever since the COVID-19, the pandemic has happened 4 years ago, we've entered into this strange period where the fundamentals does not matter both in Wall Street and in Main Street, and has thrown everybody into this sort of survival mode. Now, normally you would be trumping things such as, quote, low unemployment, strong growth, rising wages, and falling inflation. Listen, that has proved to be the recipe, according to this article, for years with the White House, time and time again. Whether you were Democrat or Republican, you would create tax cuts. What the Republicans would say, Democrats would say, well, we got low unemployment, we got rising wages, et cetera, et cetera. So either way, it's the same thing. But this is not a normal cycle, as you know. And this economy, it's not just the American economy, it's the worldwide economy. Because remember, we have to sell our goods. We have to produce something to be able to have a healthy economy. And right now, we're only producing three things: debt, fast food, and more, type of retail service jobs. Because the economy that we have is 70% is based off of spending, American spending. And so if we don't spend, if we pull back, if we save more, if we try to cut back our expenses, that means that the American consumer, or the American spender, if you will, that means that this is going to throw this economy into a recession. So there's always talk about a soft landing. They're talking about a soft landing. But how can you have a soft landing, ladies and gentlemen, when inflation, real inflation, is above 10% still, and real job growth and real wages are not keeping pace with that inflation? So how can you have a strong economy when that? And as you go around, look at people's faces when you go next time to these big box stores, grocery stores like Sam's, Costco, BJ's, Ralph's, Winco, you name it, Martin's. You go to these stores, Kroger's, you go to these grocery stores, and you look at people's faces. They can't believe the prices. You go in there, one day, an item go up. 1 week, it goes up. An item goes up by 20 to 50 cents every month. An item is going up. I guarantee you that same item that you buy for your family. And so this is what's happening here. And, Janet Yellen, she says that some banks may be quite stressed by empty office building trouble. And this is going to be a big concern. Remember, we haven't seen the fallout yet from commercial mortgage-backed securities. This is the same Janet Yellen, mind you, that 2 years ago said that inflation is not a problem. She doesn't see a problem with it. And now everybody's seeing a problem with it. And now we have an issue because the banks are saying, look, we got all these mortgage-backed securities, empty office space, because people were teleworking or working from home, or still maybe doing that, working remotely, 100% remotely, not even fooling with the telework, but just working 100% remotely. And so now we have all these empty office buildings that somebody's making the mortgage notes on this, the leases on this. Who's paying for this? The city, the tax base. How are the cities and counties and municipalities and townships, what are they going to do in terms of the tax base in the downtowns and some of these closer exurbs into downtown? that have all these office spaces, commercial office spaces that are empty, and no one's paying any type of lease or rent or temporary short-term mortgage. So when that all comes crashing, and when credit dries up, that's going to be the trifecta for the U.S. economy. The only reason why we haven't crashed yet is because of four things. The credit is still flowing right now, in terms of business credit, and the tax credits that former President Trump installed have not expired. The tax cuts, I should say, rather, have not expired. And so that's only a couple of reasons why this economy is growing. In addition to President Biden and Obama's job push that they've had as well, they've increased government jobs, and they've increased healthcare jobs, as well as tourism, hospitality sector as well, during the good times. So this is the good times right now. Both sides have bolstered this economy, but the bad part about it is that inflation is slowing, but it's still, we Americans, we're all paying the price here. No matter where you live at in this country, what area you live at, you're paying the price here. We're not happy about high prices. That's what Fed Chair Jerome Powell says, quote, consumers are not happy about high prices. Well, duh, tell us something that we don't know. And, if you're able to have money, I'm not against that. If you're able to have a lot of money and live off the interest of that money, in some type of money market account or some type of other type of funds, stuff, that is great. That is awesome. But for the majority of Americans, that are making, under 100K a year or 200K a year or whatever, the high cost of inflation, everything is more expensive. It's not just the things that we think about, but you look here, you think about it, car insurance went up, cable went up, pet care is big, sporting events has went up. If you're going to a sporting event, daycare has went up. That's big on families that are having kids, small kids. If they don't have a grandparent or a senior parent, grandparent, or somebody to look after them, daycare is a huge expense. Electricity, everything has gone up, in cost. And whether or not we can blame that on the health crisis or not, it remains to be seen. But we do know that the price of everything has gone up, but the price of your paycheck has not gone up, even though we've gotten these cost of living raises for Social Security and to Medicare, Social Security, and also to our paychecks. Some people 2 to 3%, but inflation's at 10%. You're still at a negative 7 or 8% deficit there in your wages. And so this is going to continue. I anticipate a lot of cities consolidating in the future. Look for this too as well. Look for cities and county, states, municipalities to consolidate their hospitals, consolidate the police and fire force. Instead of having a volunteer fire truck, or regular fire station every 50 or 25 miles, they're going to consolidate that to every 75 miles or 100 miles. And they're going to do that with police forces as well. I anticipate that as well. Instead of defunding the police, they're just going to consolidate. Instead of having a city, county, and township and a local and a state police, they're going to consolidate the force. Maybe even federalize it. So look for that in the future, not in the next year or two, but maybe in the next 3 years, they're going to be thinking about doing that as these cities, counties, townships, municipalities start urging for money as the tax base leaves the cities, goes out to more rural and more longer exurbs, because the high price of property taxes in a lot of these states like Illinois and Florida, and home insurance is just pushing a lot of people out further from where they would like to be initially. So look for those examples. Continue to prepare. And in your preparations, think of the big four things, okay? Security, food, water, and medicine, okay? Those are the big four things. Everything else is secondary. Yes, we can have all this other stuff. You can bring, bug out bags. And I've heard a lot of YouTubers say all of that. But it may come a time where you have to bug in. You may not be such a thing as bug out, because even if you may not even get to your bug out locations or several locations, because there's going to be a lot of people thinking the same thing. And there's only so much food, natural food, water to go around. Okay, that's just what natural resource. That's just what it is. It's not replaceable, and there's only so much of that stuff to go around in the wild. So think about ways that you can. If I had to bug in, what do I need to sustain me? And it doesn't have to be anything major, but you want to think about things such as portable solar generators, water purification, tablets, bags, tubs, whatever you use, food, 30-day food supply, things of those natures, batteries, solar lights, things of those natures. Way to dispose of waste, and the way to keep sanitized, have gloves, mask on hand, because this health crisis thing is never going away. Even if, we physically are not wearing masks in a lot of these cities and counties and states, it's never going away, because that is a means of control as well, because they can control who has access to services based on who's wearing a mask or not wearing a mask or not washing their hands, or, whatever the case may be. So just be on the mindful of that. Anyhow, I thank you guys for your support. God bless you. Enjoy your Sunday, even if you're not even watching the Super Bowl. If it's a beautiful day, get out, get some exercise, run with the dog, run with your family. Enjoy it either way. I won't be watching the Super Bowl, but I heard the halftime show was Usher or something like that. So we'll check that out maybe tomorrow morning later on after work or something, and see what all the hype is about, and Taylor Swift and all of that. We'll see what the hype is about later on. But enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and continue to be financially smart and wise with your money. Not with your money, but with your planning and with your time as well. God bless. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode.